on, Dallas Cowboys fans, Cowboy Nation? Today is going to be day 3 for the Dallas Cowboys in the NFL draft. This is going to be where the Cowboys have got to put the finishing touches on this thing. It's been up and down, a little roller coaster ride, but I'm going to say personally, I am not a hater of how the draft has gone so far. I know a lot of people wanted the flashy names. You wanted some of the big names. I was one of those guys that I wanted to see us pick up a running back, a receiver earlier on, because I felt those were somewhat the prioritized positions for the Cowboys that kind of weren't being talked about as much as they should have. More so, obviously, receiver, but because running back is obviously one of those things the Cowboys are going to need. But going into the day, you kind of heard the rumor going around the Cowboys and the talks between Zeke Elliott making a return to the Dallas Cowboys were starting to heat up a little bit. He had met with Jerry Jones. He and his agent team, whatever, had met with Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, that front office collective. And we may be seeing a return of Ezekiel Elliott to the Dallas Cowboys. You already know what Zeke has been to this franchise since coming into the league with Dak Prescott. And again, over the last couple years, we start to see it tail off a little bit. And I'm going to say, obviously, it was due to some injuries just because Zeke was trying to play through some things, which is the kind of player that he is, the kind of guy that he is. We already know Zeke Elliott is all about the team, and he's going to do whatever the team needs. So I'm not seeing an issue with bringing in Ezekiel Elliott making his return, because one thing you're going to see is a guy that you know is hard-nosed. He's very familiar with the franchise. He knows how things are run around here, but at the same time, he still has a little bit of gas. I don't think Zeke is done. I think you need to change his role. He should not be a guy that we're looking at and seeing that. Remember, in Zeke in his prime, obviously, those are going to be some hard things to forget, because we do know that's when Zeke, we're talking about 20, 25 carries, 30 carries a game if you needed him to, and he was going to be a specialty type player in this league, a guy that was a 2-time league rushing champ and should have been 3 times if due to the suspension season. So we're talking about a guy, he still has a little bit of burn, and I would like to see the Cowboys personally bring in a running back. Yesterday there were some names, some guys that were still on the board that are still going to be on the board today, but the Dallas Cowboys are only going to be sitting here their first pick is not going to be until the 5th round. So yeah, unless we're going to be able to move up with maybe with some capital from this year's draft and maybe next year's, I'm not seeing the Cowboys being able to grab one of those unless some luck happens, because we do know sometimes teams will still grab players that they kind of fell in love with, and that'll allow you to be able to get a couple guys. I'm looking today going into this draft, day 3, of guys like Jalen Wright, which I believe will probably be gone, running back out of Tennessee. You still have a Braylon Allen from Wisconsin. We do know that running back factory that Wisconsin has been over the years. A guy I feel like can come in here, because there are a couple guys I still feel like a running back, Ray Davis, a guy at the University of Kentucky. I feel like there are still a few guys that can come in here and be that co-lead guy, maybe like I said, getting about 12 to 15 carries in year 1 and being able to grow and develop from there. But the Cowboys did have a day yesterday. Like I said, to me it was a very I guess I'm gonna say it's an important day if you're looking at just building an actual team, because you have to build your team up through the trenches. We're talking about offensive line, defensive line, and sometimes people don't like to talk about it, because you get to the draft process, you see some of these fast guys, some of these guys making these crazy catches, these crazy runs, and you kind of fall in love with that. The Cowboys also, I will say, going into day 2, I wanted to see the Cowboys draft a linebacker, because we have to continue to beef up that room. You're gonna get DeMarvion Overshown back this year. You're going to get a guy, again, and that's a guy that the Cowboys fell in love with last year, a guy that played hard-nosed. And again, being a former Texas Longhorn, and me being a Texas Longhorn fan, I got to see him a lot throughout the years. And that's a guy that's going to just play physically, and he's going to throw his body at everything. But one thing you saw, obviously, also, he's having to rehab the ACL, torn ACL. But returning from there, things seem to be going well, and you have seen he's gotten bigger. That's the biggest thing you can see from DeMarvion Overshown. Going into college, he was a safety, ended up making that transition a couple years in, and one thing you saw was he continued to get better and better and better. The game grows. He's a guy that's going to be a Swiss Army knife, and I'm going to say a chess piece, more so just in being your standard linebacker type player, because no longer having Dan Quinn, who loves to employ like these hybrid safety linebacker of situations. And again, one thing you're obviously seeing, the Cowboys are just focused on getting bigger, more physical, and that kind of, to me, started off with the 2nd round pick. Before we get into that, I want you guys to go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, and share so these videos can get around to other like-minded Cowboys fans such as yourself. I appreciate all the support. We have now officially, obviously, hit the first 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate all the love and support. The next goal of 2,000 is on the way, so we can continue to grow, continue to build, and you guys keep interacting. I appreciate all the support. With the 2nd round pick yesterday, the Dallas Cowboys took D. DN Marshawn Kneeland out of the University of Western Michigan. About 6'3", 265, a big guy, and you're going to say he's more of a physical type DN. What you saw, and I'm going to say obviously, I saw a lot of kind of different up in the air opinions on him. I've seen rankings from him that had him maybe as a 36th best player, the 34th best player. I've seen him down to the 60s. I've seen him in the 40s, the mid 40s. It's kind of up in the air, but at the end of the day, I don't even get into what the pre-rankings, all those things are, because at the end of the day, it's going to be about putting the work in, grinding, and showing you belong in this league. I feel like the Cowboys took, especially bringing Mike Zimmer back, who is a hard-nosed coach, defensive coach. He does not play around. He wants guys that are going to be out there and impose their will, especially we're talking about the defensive end. You're looking at a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence, Tank Lawrence, who's been there for a long time at this point. After already approaching the age of 30, you're looking at a guy that you're asking yourself, how much longer does he have? Obviously, you lost guys like Dorrance Armstrong to the Washington Commanders, and now you're going to be looking to beef up that D line, just in general, not even just the DN position, but the D line. The Cowboys saw a guy like Marshawn Kneeland, like I said, out of Western Michigan. His numbers are not gaudy. It's nothing that's going to blow you off. Blow you out of off the pretty much just your expectations of him, as if he's going to come in and be a 12-sack guy in year one. Now, let's be clear. We will all applaud and be grateful for that if that is the case. But at the same time, I want people to allow this kid to just come in here and show that he does have some game. Because when you watch film, the number one thing is you're going to see with him, he plays with physicality, like I said, and power. And obviously, the numbers are not going to show up because I believe his highest ranking season in sacks was about 4.5. That might have been last year. He did have 57 total tackles, and he is a tackle for loss guy. That's going to play major dividends for the Cowboys in stopping the run game. We've seen that's been an issue over the last few years, especially I say for maybe even further back than that, just stopping the run. Because once you know, during the postseason, that's what got the Cowboys in a lot of trouble. We can talk about Jordan Love slicing and dicing up the secondary, and Dan Quinn not putting us in the best position with the scheme. But you saw Aaron Jones was a little bit of a tone setter for the Green Bay Packers in that postseason game, and just certain situations throughout the season. We saw with some nasty games we found ourselves into earlier in the season, watching against that Arizona Cardinals game, like Arizona Cardinals team that was without Kyler Murray. They still had James Conner. They had Josh Dobbs running at quarterback, and they kind of caught us off guard many times in the run game. And sometimes the Cowboys have been under the, I'm going to say, kind of finding themselves in unfortunate situations when it comes to stopping the run, because when the games are still tight and our offense has not got to kind of somewhat spread out that lead, that now, and all of a sudden you've seen the other team not be forced to throw the ball, the Cowboys find themselves in trouble. So Marshawn Kneeland is a guy I'm going to be able to say, I think he has some pass rushing capabilities also. So let's not think he's just going to be a guy the Cowboys just threw something at the wall. If you're able to kind of pay attention and take your feelings and emotion out of it, and obviously sometimes it is hard to do as a fan because you kind of come into these draft days in each round with your own mindset of what you want this team to continue to do and continue to grow and see what we can add to, and say it might be your favorite receiver, favorite tight end, favorite running back, whatever it is. The Cowboys chose to go Marshawn Kneeland, and we're going to see how it plays out. But I'm a big believer in just letting these guys show and prove what they can do, and not completely, I guess you want to say, be set in my own opinion. So Marshawn Kneeland, just watching him on film, like I said, the number one thing you can spot just fairly quickly is that he does play physical, and I'm gonna say that's gonna be big just with the Mike Zimmer defense, because he's very he's very up on the 4-3 and just being able to not be dominated at the line of scrimmage, and that's gonna do nothing but open up more lanes for a guy like Micah Parsons, who I believe Mike Zimmer, he kind of joked about in his opening pre-introduction, I'm going to say reintroduction, as always being a former Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator already, but just in his press conference, reinviting himself to the team, reintroducing himself to the team, Mike Zimmer talks about moving a guy maybe like Micah Parsons to linebacker a little bit more. So we'll see how exactly this plays out, but the Cowboys did take Marshawn Kneeland, DN, by 6'3", 265 out of the University of Western Michigan. Give this kid a chance, because I feel like once training camp rolls around and once he gets around the other veterans, we're talking about mini camp, things like that, we're going to be able to see if he's able to stick his, I guess you want to say, stamp his name and show that he belongs on the Dallas Cowboys roster. And with their first pick in the third round, the 73rd overall pick that was retrieved from the Detroit Lions the day before trading back for offensive tackle Tyler Gotton from 24th to 29th, the Dallas Cowboys selected Cooper Beebe, I'm going to say offensive lineman from Kansas State. We're talking about a three-time All Big 12 lineman, offensive lineman. We're talking about a two-time Big 12 lineman of the year. We're talking about a two-time All-American. I think people believe an All-American. Last year, he was a unanimous All-American, and the year before, he was a first-team All-American. This is a guy that blocked for guys like Deuce Vaughn, so they have a great familiarity with each other. And this is also a guy that's very versatile. When you watch Cooper Beebe play, he is physical, very physical. And again, playing in the Big 12, I was able to see him a little bit anyway. But he plays with just like a mauling style. That's the way again I said the Dallas Cowboys were looking to improve, was just get more physical on the offensive line, defensive line, and it did not stop with him. This is a guy I'm gonna say personally. Of course, you can move him in eventually. We don't know how much long Zach Martin's gonna be here. Hopefully, he retires as a Dallas Cowboy, because I feel like he's earned that and he deserves that love and that credibility of being a lifetime Dallas Cowboy. But if he's able to, let's say we get another good few years out of a Zach Martin, you're able to at some point eventually, in my opinion, be able to move a Zach Beebe over there, Cooper Beebe, over there into Zach Martin's place. But as of now, we're gonna see a guy like Brock Hoffman have a chance to see if he can hold on to grab that center position, losing a Tyler Biadasz. But also, I'm gonna say Cooper Beebe is gonna be also in the running potentially for that center position, because one thing you're gonna see, I said he has that versatility. He's played I believe he's played all 5 positions at some point on the offensive line. So he has that experience of just being able to be very versatile, and you can adjust, and he can adjust and adapt to whatever we're going to ask for. So I'm excited to see what exactly he can bring to the Dallas Cowboys during this training camp process. Like I said, my biggest thing about the rookies, you want to see them go into their rookie mini camp and obviously get their hands on the playbook, figure out exactly how things go around here at the Star, obviously. But I want to see, my biggest exciting part I will say about rookies is when you're able to get them around the rest of the veterans. So now you're going to be able to see him go against some of these just maulers. You're going to be able to actually see what it's like to have to watch up the plays of a guy like a Micah Parsons or DeMarcus Lawrence, and see exactly the different coverages and the looks that the linebacker position can bring you this year. So I'm excited to see what Cooper Beebe is going to bring, but I'm going to say he is a move for now. He is a move for the future as well, and he has that versatility. And like I said, if the Cowboys are going to be more of a physical running team, which Mike McCarthy's talked about, this is exactly where you want to get it going, because Tyler Guyton, although he's a project somewhat, but I believe a project as if he can still be out there starting on week 1, but it's going to be a work in progress. He's a mauler himself, so we're just getting more physical, especially on the interior. You already know what you have in all-pro left guard Tyler Smith. You're going to continue to just get stronger, continue to get beefier on the interior, and if we can just lock up some of these other things, like I said, going into day 3, I want to see the Cowboys bring in a running back at some point if we have to move up or whatever it is. But this is the perfect way to start that foundation. Get bigger on the inside, get stronger on the interior, and Cooper Beebe is going to be a guy I feel like the Dallas Cowboys fan base in general are just going to naturally fall in love. And with the second pick in the 3rd round yesterday, Maurice Lefau, linebacker out of Notre Dame, University of Notre Dame. This is a guy I'm going to say he is going to probably be a little bit work in progress, but I'm going to start it here. He has the traits that you're looking for. He plays fast. When you watch him on film, and we're not talking about just highlights. You can't watch highlights because they don't always tell the whole story. They're going to show the best things a player does. Watch everything. And we're just watching film on him in general. Maurice Lefau, he plays fast. He plays physical. And when talking about those guys, I guess you want to say the number one thing, especially when we're talking from the linebacker position, the number one thing you always have to worry about sometimes is what is the guy's motor? How much does he move? How much does he like to move? How much does he like to stay engaged and be involved in every single play if he can? And I feel like we're not going to have an issue when it comes to that. There were some guys I guess I would have liked to see maybe ahead of him. We're talking about Peyton Wilson, a linebacker from NC State. He was still on the board. I believe he goes a little later than that, but you're going to a little bit after that. I would have liked to maybe see him be the pick over that, because again, he still has that kind of, I guess you want to say a guy in Peyton Wilson, I believe has about over 400 tackles in his college career. A guy that just had that I guess you want to say strong instinctual skills. But Maurice Lefau, he has I'm guessing you're going to say he has the innate ability to just be able to just fly in, and you cannot coach that. It's kind of like the same way I likened what to a DeMarvion Overshown, what I felt like he was going to be able to bring last year. A guy that's not afraid of contact and not scared to throw his hat in there. So we're going to get him around a Mike Zimmer. We're going to get him around these other guys and see what we can add. Luckily, it's great to have a guy like Eric Kendricks, because I feel like he could possibly obviously learn some things from him as well, because you have, I think Eric Kendricks, about 32, 33 years old at this point. So you're looking at, he's a little long in the tooth. He's not going to be here forever. This is more of a quick deal, see exactly what we can get out of an Eric Kendricks for this year and then move forward from there. But this is going to be a very big development year for a guy like Maurice Lefau. Obviously, I would have also liked to see us take a running back, like I said before. Marshawn Lloyd ends up going a little bit after that too, after this the pick by the Dallas Cowboys. But I said before, I'm very big on letting these guys be able to develop. Let them get on the field first before we put these, I guess, have our opinions just set in stone completely. Obviously, we can be disappointed, but at the same time, it's a product that we're going to have to continue to just watch it develop and grow. And if the Cowboys are as serious about just getting more physical and just being more dynamic on the defensive side of the ball, because come playoff time, we know these games get closer, and it's all about matchups at that point. We're talking about a guy, I believe, Maurice Lafau is about, 6'2", 6'3", about 235 pounds. A guy, I feel like they're probably going to add a little bit more weight to him, a little more muscle. Obviously, you're going to be in the NFL conditioning program, a training program, so that's naturally going to help with your body in general. But he has the skills. I'm going to say the raw skills and the raw ability that I feel like are going to be very great for the Cowboys going forward, because again, you are going to be getting a guy like a DeMarvion Overshown back. You no longer have a Leighton Vander Esch, so that room is getting very, I guess you want to say it's very thin. You do know Damone Clark is also returning, so this is a guy that's going to be able to be out there competing, and I feel like he is going to be a name that you're going to hear a little bit during training camp and throughout preseason, the mini camp process, all that stuff. So keep your eyes and antennas open for a guy like this, because he just has that fire, and I feel like you can't coach that. That's one of those things you either have or you don't. As of now, the draft, I believe it already kicked off. I believe the draft started today, day 3 at 11 a.m. Central Time. So we'll see what the Cowboys do with these 4 picks that they have. I believe the first one starts in the 5th round. I think the 4th round ended up going in that Trey Lance trade. We'll see exactly what the reasoning was for that trade in the long run. But we'll see if the Dallas Cowboys are able to move up and find some more pieces. And I feel like if we're going to move up, I want to see us grab a running back. Look up and grab a guy like a Jalen Wright or a Braylon Allen, a Ray Davis maybe. You still have Bucky Irving. These are some of the guys now you're going to be looking at, more speed guys like a Bucky Irving or something like that. Also, this is going to be a perfect situation for the Cowboys to just completely, I guess you want to say, solidify some of those things that you're going to be looking for. Now, this is about the point of, we'll say day 3. This is normally where the Cowboys and most teams in the NFL, you start to just grab some guys that you might have just had an eye on, that maybe they kind of slip through the cracks a little bit, or maybe you believe in them a little bit more than everybody else does, or whatever the draft boards and expert analysis loves to call for some of these players. So this is going to be a day that's very interesting. But in day 2, I feel like the Cowboys did nothing but solidify that physicality that they claim they've been looking for. Like I said, there were no splash players. There was nothing that was going to jump off the table at you, jump off the screen at you, just off of skill positions or anything like that. But if you're going to be serious and you want to build a foundation, the interior, we're talking about your lines, your D lines, your interior of your offensive line, that's exactly where you want to begin. So the Cowboys are going to have exciting day 3. We'll see as a fan base. We'll talk about what the rest of the draft picks were tomorrow, I'm sure. So we'll keep on rolling. I appreciate you guys for all the support. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and share to other Cowboys fans such as yourself. Enjoy the rest of this draft in day 3. Enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, go Cowboys.